Welcome to Goddess on the Rise. I'm your host, Sarah Brooke Berg, Ayurveda practitioner and coach of literally all the things, helping women connect to their mind and body. This is your space for real, raw, and authentic as fuck conversations on healing, embodiment, and rising into your power. So get cozy, grab your mineral mocktails, take a deep breath, and let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to Goddess on the Rise. And might I say, welcome back because I am officially back. And I'm so excited to be back, by the way. I know it's been a long time coming. I keep saying I'm going to come back and then things pop up. And honestly, that's just like real life, right? Of course, unfortunately, well, fortunately, all my, clients that I have, they always come first. And as much as I love podcasting and I've been doing it for so long, I still have to honor like my real life outside of this. And with the military, it adds in that extra layer of I don't know, difficultness. So I'm not always able to be present as much as I like on the podcast, but I'm grateful that a lot of that is changing right now, and I will be able to spend some more time here and really put my focus on the podcast. So, anyways, if you are a new listener, I want to say I'm so grateful that you're even giving this a chance and listening into the podcast. I like to say that the podcast is all about being real, raw, and authentic as fuck. And we share a lot of vulnerability here. You're going to be hearing a lot of interviews and guests coming up, and they are going to be sharing their stories, what they've gone through, their expertise. And of course, I'll be showing up in the same way. And while I am also a somatic coach, therapeutic coach, whatever you want to say, what kind of coach I am, I have tons and tons of certifications in a whole bunch of different modalities. And I'm an Ayurveda practitioner. I'm first and foremost a human who goes through a lot with chronic illness. And that's where I like to kind of share from my heart. This podcast, you're going to get a lot of free information, but also it's kind of like a lifestyle podcast. I'm going to show up and share the ups and the downs and the real and rawness of being in a marginalized body with a chronic illness and a disabled body and a plus size body. You're going to see me show up in those spaces. And I love to be like open. I feel like there, and that's the whole theme of the podcast, right? Real, raw, and authentic as fuck. And I feel like in this day and age, like you see people who are like real and raw or like vulnerable, but it's like I don't know. To me, it just feels so surface level. I'm like, is that really vulnerable? And it's okay if it is for them. Absolutely. I'm not sitting here judging them, but I just felt like there wasn't a space for like the depths. And that's where I like to hang out, right? Like that's part of what I do as a coach, right? I meet you in your depths and I hold space for that, and help you process that, right? And so it's no shocker that that is what I've always like yearned for. And I have to tell you, I'm grateful to create this space and also be very consistent with it this go around. So I'm grateful for that. If you know someone who is wanting to share their story, is going through something that they've come out the other side of, if they have an expertise or something that you'd like to know more about, please let me know. I'm always looking to interview people who would fit into, this category of the podcast. And then also if it's something that I know about, I'm happy to talk about it. You're going to find me talking a lot about diet culture, marginalized bodies, chronic illness, all that kind of stuff. And you can go back and listen to some of my previous episodes, although sometimes I go back and listen to them and I'm like, oh, babe, we're so cringe. And I mean that in the absolute best way because that's how you grow, right? You learn and you grow and you hear how you talk and how you have acted or things that you've said and you're like, ooh, I missed the mark there. And now I get to learn from that. So, and that is what we're doing. That is what we're all about here. So I want to tell you a little bit about how Goddess on the Rise started. And it actually started in 2018. I started taking a course in my Ayurveda practitioner degree, my bachelor's degree. And of course, I had some prerequisites before I could jump right into Ayurveda. I took a lot of them, like kind of side by side to graduate. And one of them, I can't remember exactly what it was that um, the course was, but it was something about like media. So we had to decide, we had to come up with something like a blog, a YouTube, um, or like a podcast or something that was like on social media. And that's when I decided to come up with a podcast because back in that time, I didn't, Sarah Brooke Berg Co. Healing Goddesses Wellness Sanctuary was not thought of yet. I was just simply Goddess on the Rise. And I was also in an MLM, I was a Beachbody coach. Uh, I know. I should do a whole new episode on that, by the way. But so because of that, um, I didn't own my own business yet. This was just merely just a thought, a place where I could yap and be heard and seen and validate other women. And I've had so many guests on this podcast. We're up to almost 5,000 listeners, or 5,000 downloads, and tons of listeners from all over the world, by the way. It's so cool how much this has grown. But it really just started from a college class that I was taking. And my professor, shout out to him, Paul Moorhead Jr., he was amazing. He was so supportive. He helped me come up with like a business plan. He helped me learn how to do all of this. And I came up with a theme song. And I will tell you, one thing that's never changed is my theme song. My intro has changed like 100 million times, but the name of the podcast, Goddess on the Rise, I still feel so connected to, and it's something that I believe so much in because it truly is what we all are. We're always trying to step into like this highest version of ourselves, always being this goddess on the rise, right? And so it's really interesting because that actually has like themes in coaching as well, which maybe one day I'll get into, but. Um, and then the other thing that's always stay the same is just being real, raw, and authentic as fuck. You're never gonna find like a filtered version of me on here. I'm gonna cuss on here. I'm gonna be myself on here. I'm gonna share my thoughts, my feelings, my loves, my desires, my fears. I'm really just gonna show up and be a real human, and you're not gonna get anything filtered from me, basically. And so those are things that have always been the same in this podcast, and they will continue to remain the same. So if that doesn't really fit your vibe, I totally understand. And there's millions of podcasts out there for you to listen to if this isn't the one for you. But if you're here, if you're an old listener, a new listener, just literally from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much because I've always wanted to create a safe space for you, but it also helps me create a safe space as well, right? It helps me feel seen and heard and validated, and that's such a beautiful thing. I love hearing it. So let me just pull up my notes and make sure that I am staying on track. And so. We're going to go over lots of different topics, probably always on the theme of body connection, health, mindset, self-love, chronic illness, Ayurveda, some of the coaching that I go through, a little bit of business too. I think I want to share a little bit about business because I think women feel so intimidated by it, or I also want to highlight some really beautiful women in business and what they do, and give them a space to get their stuff out there. I'm not talking about just advertising, but asking them like real questions like, why do you love doing what you do? What does that look like for you? How have, how has it been like getting to the space where you're at now and all of that? Okay, so just a little bit about me. I'm going to go into my credentials too, so you kind of know exactly who I am, what I'm doing, and all that kind of stuff. So, my name is Sarah Brooke Berg, if you don't already know. And I do a lot of things. So, first off, I am a wife, I am a dog mom. My dog is also my service animal. So grateful for her. I'm an aunt, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a nurse, a granddaughter. I am also a board certified somatic coach, subconscious coach, board certified in NLP, parts integration, timeline techniques. I'm about to be a Reiki master. I'm about to be breathwork certified. And I also am board certified in EFT tapping. And there's so much more fires method. There's a whole bunch more. But basically, what that means with all those certifications is that I can really help you move through limiting beliefs in your mind and your body and help you reconnect to your body and process things on deep levels. I can sit with you in the depths. I can hold space for you. I was holding space before it was cool on Wicked, by the way. That was a term that we've used in the coaching world for years. And I do it all through a trauma-informed lens. So basically, what I like to say is that we will take the can and we'll just kind of open the lid a little bit, shake it up. Some things are going to fly out. We're going to let them. And when the dust settles, we'll kind of address that. But we're never, ever going to have a wound and rip off the Band-Aid and like poke it. I know that sounds like such a, I use that metaphor all the time, and I feel like it sounds so gross. And that's something for therapy. Like therapy can do that. EMDR does that. And while I'm a huge fan of EMDR in terms of like, I know how much it can help you, I also hate it. I go through it myself. But all in all, we really we can go through the depths, right? Absolutely. That's how you process things. But I'm never going to make you feel worse. And sometimes therapy can do that. Again, that's not neither here nor there, good nor bad, but that's what the coaching world is for. Also have my bachelor's degree in Ayurveda medicine and integrative Ayurveda wellness and integrative medicine, which makes me an Ayurveda practitioner. I think I said I'm a nurse, I'm an LPN. My business is licensed and insured, and I'm also a board certified holistic wellness coach. So, I'm sure I'm missing things in there, but that's okay. You kind of get the gist of what it is that I do. I am obsessed with nature. I live on this beautiful island. My husband's in the military, so we're stationed here. And I have my business here. I see lots of clients and I help them on all different types of things. And you can always go to my Instagram if you want to know more about that. Right now, I have openings for new clients, so I'd be happy to help you. Yeah. And so a little bit about me. You can catch me like on the beaches all the time, watching the sunsets, maybe eating a chocolate covered orange because that's like one of my favorites, dark chocolate covered orange. So good. Drinking a mineral mocktail or a coffee from my favorite place on the island, going to the farmer's market, picking up seashells, running around with my dog. What else? I love hiking as well. I love to be out in the forest. I'm a sucker for a good view, especially on this island. It's beautiful. And probably eating my favorite food, which is sushi. Um, I have a lot of chronic illnesses. I have Hashimoto's, endometriosis, PCOS, eosinophilic esophagitis. That is a new thing that I've just been diagnosed with, which is not fun, but explains so much in my life. I can always go into these things in a podcast episode as well. I had adenomyosis, and my endometriosis, adenomyosis, PCOS actually led to me having a hysterectomy. So I can no longer have kids, and that is a super touchy subject for me. I am almost a year in April from my hysterectomy, and I actually did a whole episode on it. I haven't been able to go back and listen to it myself, so I don't know if it's even good or not, but it was a good place for me to kind of process some things, which was so nice and kind of answer questions that people had. And so I'm still dealing with the grief with that. And I've had a lot of trauma in the last few years of my life that I'm still processing. But what else? I also have stomach ulcers, and I feel like maybe that's like the big diagnosis that I have, ADHD, and also CPTSD. So there's that. Um, okay, so what's coming next is an episode today is dropping. It's this one right here. It's going to be this little welcome and just how grateful I am that I still have this platform to really pour into you and for us to see each other, hear each other, just validate each other. And I can't wait to support you and teach you and really bring on some amazing people. And then also, after this episode, there's another episode dropping today because obviously it is February 22nd, so 222, and we're gonna have two episodes dropping today. And so the other one I believe is all about movement in the body, and then probably some tips and tricks. I can't exactly remember what I recorded for that one. And if you're not already following me, please follow me on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or Lemonade. I'm literally on all the apps. My name on there is Sarah Brooke Berg. I'll put the details in the notes section of the podcast. And I would really, really love it if you found this podcast to be, if you've loved it in the past and you're looking forward to loving it in the future, I would love it if you could rate, review, subscribe, and even send in your topic requests. You can literally just DM me on Instagram, or I will put up a little box if you're watching this like in real time, and you can submit it into the little box, a topic request. And I think that is everything. I'm just so grateful to be back on the podcast, to be back podcasting, and to just share like life with you and my wisdom with you and everything that comes up. I know how hard it is really to exist in this world today. There's a lot going on, a lot of moving pieces all the time, and it feels as if the more and more we kind of like get out there on social media, the more and more we're running into people who are just like scammers and fakes, and then something comes out about them, and it's sad. It's really sad. And you think you've found a safe place to exist, and then that person really lets you down. And I'll say I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. And if I make mistakes, though, my promise is to you that I will fix them and I will be a soundboard. I will listen to you and take in your advice and really try to repair what it is that I've ruptured. I don't see that happening, but I obviously can't predict the future. But I'm saying this because I really want you to know that I want to be a space on the internet for you to feel like you can exist exactly how you are in the body that you are in without having to twist or manipulate or change or anything that's going to make you feel not good in your body. I want this to be a really safe space for you. And I will be talking about different things that might be triggering for you. And my thing to you is that I'll always put a warning on that if we're gonna go into the depths of things. That might kind of bring up some stuff for you. So, other than that, I think that is it for the first episode of Goddess on the Rise. I'm so excited to be back. I can't wait to help you and just pour into you in this way. So, again, make sure you follow. If you can rate and review, that's great. And I look forward to connecting with you more on the Instagram, the Facebook, the TikTok, wherever you are. And maybe you can join me on an episode sometime and be a guest or send in those guest requests. So, all right, that is all. We'll talk again soon. Enjoy the second episode, and I love you so much. Happy 222.